passion fire for Bob Gottschalk as the engine exploding just before the finish line in qualifying. The car enveloped in flame with Gottschalk inside that cockpit. He hits the fire bottles. You see the fire begin to go down inside the car, but it's still burning outside the firewall. Burning underneath the car. The parachute goes. There goes the rear tire, and Gottschalk loses control. From the time the NHRA Safety Safari first spotted the fire in Bob Gottschalk's car to the moment they responded on the scene, only 14 seconds had elapsed. It is because of those safety procedures that Bob Gottschalk was able to return to Gainesville Raceway earlier this morning and talk to Steve Evans.
Bob Gottschalk, boy, is it good to see you back at the racetrack. How are you?
I'm fine. I suffered some burns on my hands and on the tops of my feet, but other than that, I'm in fine shape.
Bob Gottschalk, a very lucky man. We'll be back with the second round of Funny Car at the Gatornationals in just a moment. NHRA Gatornationals, the Gainesville Raceway in Gainesville, Florida. We're set for round number 2 racing in Funny Cars. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and Don Prudhomme just completed his burnout. This is John Collins. He's getting ready to do those long, tire-smoking burnouts that are designed for 2 purposes. 1, to clean the tires. 2, to get them as hot as absolutely possible. These race tires are designed to operate at the highest temperature possible. Thus, the only way to get them hot is to actually burn them. John Collins from Long Beach, California, finished in the runner-up position 1 year ago at the Gatornationals. He's racing against the longtime veteran Don Prudhomme. 4 times he won the World Champions title. We told you earlier, he's been having some problems, but he found the performance in round number 1. Can he duplicate it here? Both drivers very methodical about their approach to the starting line procedures. Collins finishes staging. A good start. Prudhomme beginning to lose control. He crosses over the center line, automatically loses. And John Collins on the quickest run of his career at 5.74 seconds at over 256 miles an hour, while Prudhomme, losing by crossing that center line, coasts across the finish and takes the first turn off. Here's the man that won it all last year at the Gatornationals. This is Kenny Bernstein. He is also the first funny car ever over 260 miles an hour. He did that 1 year ago. In the second round of racing, Bernstein is against Tom Hoover. Hoover, a 20-year veteran of this sport, has experience not only in the funny cars, but he started his career as a top fuel racer, then made the switch about 10 years ago. While Hoover and Bernstein continue the preparations for their race, let's go down to the far end of the track and Steve Evans with John Collins.
So John Collins not only gets around Don Prudhomme, but John, your best ever elapsed time of 5:74. You have found the combination, apparently.
Yeah, Steve, the team's worked real hard all weekend on it, and we ran a 5:76 first round, 5:74 this round. We've changed engines, changed fuel systems. Larry Frazier, Bob Kreitz, I owe it to them. They're the ones that done it.
John Collins paying tribute to his crew, preparing his car to that 5:74 to defeat Don Prudhomme. Kenny Bernstein, the first funny car racer ever to eclipse that magic 260-mile-an-hour mark, is the defending Gatornationals champion. Racing against him from Maple Grove, Minnesota, comes Tom Hoover. Hoover, like Gottschalk, had an engine explosion and fire in qualifying, but Hoover's fire not nearly as severe. The question was, however, could Hoover make the necessary repairs to be in competition? Steve talked with him.
Well, Tom, you and your crew had a bit of work to do after the fire in qualifying.
I sure did. We had a long drought for a while, run a 580 number, and in the shutoff area, I had a bad rod bearing, pitched a rod out, and I had a handful there that afternoon, but we got it shut down, got it rebuilt, and everything looks pretty good right now.
I'm sure for Hoover it does look good. In round number 1, he defeated the quickest funny car in the world, that one owned by Roland Leong and driven by Rick Johnson. Here he is racing against Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein's got to be thinking somewhat about some handling problems he's been experiencing, not only in qualifying, but in his first round victory over the 2-time Gatornationals champion and 2-time world champion Frank Hawley. His crew chief, Dale Armstrong, giving final instructions to Kenny Bernstein as both drivers approach those light beams that are stretched across the starting line at Gainesville Raceway, indicating they're in the proper spot for a good start. Hoover smoking the tires right off the starting line. Bernstein straight down the center of his lane. Kenny has apparently solved his handling problems as his crew heads down to pick him up. But what a disappointment this has to have been for Tom Hoover, working so hard to get here, then smoking the tires right off the line. The times show at 5.71 seconds at over 251 miles an hour. Bernstein says, look out, everybody, I want 2 in a row. Our next pair of cars already started. The Corvette of Tom McEwen is in the far lane. In the near lane, the Blue Max, owned by Raymond Beadle and driven now by Little John Lombardo. The 5.71 second elapsed time you saw just a moment ago by Kenny Bernstein, the quickest time thus far of eliminations. Let's join Steve.
Well, Kenny Bernstein, who was so very concerned about the handling of his Mercury Topaz, is going to be thrilled with low ET of eliminations. 571, Kenny, straight as a string.
Oh, good. That was great. Well, Dale and the crew made a lot of changes on it, Steve, to anticipate that left-hand move it's been making, and it helped a lot.
Well, those kind of elapsed times, if you can run them steadily, that might be enough to repeat as champion here.
Well, I hope so. You know, that at least gets you in the game. There's a lot of 70 cars, though, but it's a nice start.
John Lombardo in the driver's cockpit of the Blue Max funny car. As car owner and former driver and former 3-time world champion Raymond Beadle decided over the winter that he was going to move out of the driver's seat to spend more time with his other racing interests and other business. Lombardo will be racing against Tom McEwen from Fountain Valley, California. McEwen is regarded by many as one of the premier drivers ever to go down a quarter-mile racetrack. He has driven practically every type of car known, from top fuel dragsters to funny cars to some of the more experimental and exotic vehicles. But over the past few years, he's been concentrating on this Corvette-bodied car. It is Lombardo against McEwen. In the near lane, Lombardo beginning to pull away in the Blue Max and wins it. Little John Lombardo, 5.80 seconds at 251 miles an hour. That advances him one more round into the semifinals. Back on the starting line, our next pair ready to go. The Oldsmobile, owned by Larry Minor and driven by Ed the Ace McCulloch. In the far lane, coming out with tires smoking, is Dale Paldy, along with his partner Mike Hamby, campaigning a Pontiac Firebird creation. For Ed McCulloch, after a few years' retirement, he came back in what many people regard as the best ride in the business. For Dale Paldy, the Granada Hills-based team has been campaigning for several years with great success. In 1978, Dale Paldy won the funny car title here at the Gatornationals. 2 years ago, he finished in the runner-up spot. Ed McCulloch is the sole remaining driver of the Larry Minor team. Both Minor and Gary Beck, racing in Top Fuel Eliminator, are out of competition. Minor lost to Grant Stoms in round 1, and you saw what happened to Gary Beck on that engine-exploding pass by Joe Amato, yet Amato won the race. So here's Ed McCulloch in the Oldsmobile, the only remaining car of Larry Minor's team, matched against Dale Paldy. Paldy into a wheel stand, smoking the tires. The supercharger lets go for Ed McCulloch. Paldy through the quarter mile, 5.91 seconds. That's way off the pace of the other 570 cars. But for McCulloch, the engine explodes, laying back the fuel injector onto the windshield. And McCulloch quietly, silently coasts to a stop. In slow motion, we can watch it much better. Paldy and McCulloch leave the starting line as if they are tied together. Then Paldy begins to smoke the tires. So does McCulloch. And then the explosion. The supercharger lets go. Paldy recovers from the tire smoke to continue on with a 5.91 second elapsed time. From a different point of view, both cars into the wheel stands. Then the engine explosion. There goes the injector laid back against the windshield. The raw fuel pumping out of the injector lines. Ed McCulloch is out of the car. He's okay, but out of competition. This now sets the semifinal pairings in Funny Car Eliminator. Dale Paldy against John Lombardo, with Lombardo having lane choice, and Kenny Bernstein against John Collins, with Bernstein having lane choice. Let's go to Steve Evans in Don Prudhomme's pit area.
So the postmortem already going on. You're already trying to figure out for the next race what happened?
Yeah, that's right. We have a race next weekend, and now's the time time to lock at it, and we'll just have to see.
You know, the cars are so violent anymore that if the least little thing goes wrong, you're history.
Well, that's right. You know, so much horsepower, and you're trying to put it to the ground, and the fuel systems are very, very complicated. You know, we've been struggling with that for a long time, and apparently we're still struggling with it.
Well, let's hope you find it quickly.
Thank you.
Don Prudhomme and his crew trying to find out what went wrong. Joe Amato and his crew getting ready for the semifinals in Top Fuel Eliminator. We'll be coming back to the Gatornationals in just a moment. The Motorcraft Gatornationals from Gainesville Raceway near Gainesville, Florida. We're getting set for the semifinals in Pro Stock Eliminator. Bob Glidden will go against Dempsey Hardy. Glidden having the lane choice. Gordy Rivera runs Warren Johnson. Johnson has the lane choice. If you follow Pro Stock racing, one name that you always expect to see in the semifinals is missing.
Dave, a week ago tomorrow, at a track in Oklahoma, 4-time world champion and 3-time Gatornationals champion Lee Shepard was fatally injured. At the request of his fellow Pro Stock drivers, their cars were brought up the racetrack in a missing man formation earlier today. And missing in that pole position that he so often occupied, Lee Shepard. The drivers also for the remainder of this season will carry a black slash through their numbers in tribute to Lee. I had many long and friendly conversations with Lee Shepard, but never was that camera present. And we always talked about the things that were truly important to him. Family and friends and children and sports. He really didn't care for the attention that television offered, a very modest and humble man. And the thing that always impressed me in our very short winter interviews with Lee was that he seemed to feel some of the disappointment of the driver he had just defeated. We'll miss him.
All of us at Diamond P Sports extend our heartfelt sympathies to the friends and family of Lee Shepard. Bob Glidden driving his Ford Thunderbird in the semifinal round of action against the Pontiac Trans Am Firebird, driven by Dempsey Hardy. The car owned by Jerry Hurley and Jeff Veldey. Dempsey Hardy, based now in Vero Beach, California. Last season, finishing number 3 in the world was Bob Glidden. The Ford Thunderbird out of Whiteland, Indiana, is the quickest car in all of Pro Stock racing, setting a new national record at the recently completed NHRA Winter Nationals. Glidden will be in the far lane. It will be Dempsey Hardy in the near lane. The pressure here has got to be on Hardy. Glidden, obviously the quicker car, not only in qualifying, but in the first 2 rounds of eliminations. Hardy begins to roll forward and rolls through the lights, giving him a red light automatically. The win going to Bob Glidden. What a strong run. Glidden continues through with a fine 7.57 seconds at 184 miles an hour, while back on the starting line, the big red light continues to glow for Dempsey Hardy. Warren Johnson, number 2 in the world last season in this Oldsmobile, seems to have this track well in hand. He has already recorded the quickest lap time, in fact 2 of them back-to-back at 7.55 seconds. Racing against him from Yuma, Arizona in the Chevrolet Camaro is Gordy Rivera. Rivera beginning to come into his own in Pro Stock racing, now in the semifinals at the Gatornationals. But Warren Johnson from Duluth, Georgia, has got the performance mark that everyone is shooting at. Johnson in the far lane, Gordy Rivera in the near lane. These cars run on gasoline. They are limited to 500 cubic inches using 2 4-barrel carburetors. The minimum weight on the car, 2,350 pounds, including the driver. Johnson in the far lane with the Oldsmobile. Rivera in the near lane with the Chevrolet. Idling into the staging beams and lots of RPM, and Gordy Rivera with a tremendous hole shot. But the horsepower of Warren Johnson's Oldsmobile too much, and easy win as he pulls away. Arlene Johnson, Warren's wife, reflecting the joy in the victory as Warren Johnson now moves into the finals against Bob Glidden. Johnson's time, another 7.55 seconds, a speed of 184. Glidden against Johnson, with Johnson having lane choice. It'll be Top Fuel Eliminator coming up next at the Gatornationals. The 16th annual NHRA Gatornationals in Gainesville, Florida, and we've got the semifinal round of Top Fuel Eliminator on the starting line. This is the upset winner thus far. Bill Mullins, driving John Kerry's car, took the measure of Don Garlits in the previous round. But this time, he may have an even tougher opponent, as Joe Amato, the defending champion and reigning world champion, lines up alongside of Mullins. Amato, using those new Goodyear front tires that have been spun to over 300 miles an hour, apparently solving the front tire problem that has been plaguing Top Fuel racing for the past several years. And it's a red light start for Mullins. He leaves the starting line just a hair too soon, automatically gives the win to Amato. Jerry Amato, Joe's wife, shows her pleasure in the win at 5.65 seconds for the second year in a